Hello everyone. Hello. I am coming today, taking a break from my studies and the class I'm teaching, university course I'm teaching, today to work on my Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I think I said Roxy's Creation on my last video. Y'all just have to ignore that stuff because the brain, I'm doing more than this, and have little lives, educational lives in my hands. So yeah, and my own. So anyway, the thing is that when I left off, and I'll insert some pictures when I finish this. I'll take some pictures of the whole panel, and y'all can see what I've done in terms of when we last left off, which was on her, this beautiful little lady here that's looking all mad and combative a little bit. I love it. Territorial even. So I think I'm gonna wait to stitch her on. I'm definitely gonna, I think when my video cut off is I mentioned that, well, I mentioned that I was trying to get out, convey to y'all that I am going to stitch this on camera, but I'm going to leave it pinned for now because I'm still confused about, something needs to go behind her in this, ecru color, this lacy thingy doily, and this color where I've cut her out. So I'm not sure, like I could frame her in some purple, which is, not my color, but it might go with her dress. I could frame her in some blue, or I'm not sure. I really don't know. So I have to think on that, but she's staying right there. That's the good part. So I don't know if I'm putting something behind her or not. Okay. Then when we left off, last time, I was thinking about her. I'm definitely going to stitch her on camera. But I did add the lace doily. Like this qualifies maybe as the lace doily, but I want to keep up with the prompts and try to do the prompts, officially, because that's the fun part, is trying to, not so much as keeping up, because I won't be able to keep up, but to honor the prompts, if you will. Okay, and by the way, I really like K3N. I haven't watched any videos of hers. I always watch her videos for the most part if I can. Things are just different now in the summer when I'm not teaching or in classes. I can watch a lot more and comment a lot more, but now that I'm back to the beautiful academic grind, I just happened to see one of her videos scrolling through, or what do you call it, in my feed, where she says stitching is in our DNA, and kudos to you, Catherine. It is in women's DNA. Stitching is in women's DNA. So there, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. It really does, because it is women's DNA. Okay, so I did add this beautiful lacy doily. I think it qualifies as a lacy doily. This is all stitched down, and so I added that. I just put some of the hold on, let me do my folding technique that I learned so beautifully. I have to tell y'all something too that I learned by watching Rachel stitch. And y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. I guess you can't, but you can always email me. I'm not doing the comment thing right now. I just don't have the time, and not that there's would be a lot of comments. That's not the point. I can't explain to you why I'm doing that. I just don't want an extra something I have to put, a tad bit of energy into. And it helps me kind of keep my mouth to a minimum if I can, and that kind of thing. So there's that. So I added this here this, you know, this doily here. I think y'all can see that. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see that right there. It's a lacy doily. And then I wanted to put this ecru Battenberg piece on here, and I kind of compositioned, because I worked like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes after the video, so things will change. And again, I understand totally why everything can't be stitched on camera. Not that I was asking it, I just want to see some stitching so I can learn, and I'll show you why here in a minute, what I learned from Rachel, and I could be wrong, but it's what I noticed. So anyway, this I'm gonna put down right here. I like it right there. I did go ahead and stitch this piece here. It's a quilt, because that was part of the quilt prompt. I'm definitely going to put this somewhere. It may stay there. It's only pinned. But I like this here. I was very sure and confident to put this piece here. So that's where it is. Now, it's stitched at the top, but not around or at the bottom yet, because I don't know if I want to put it over something or something on top. And with something that's a little tiny thicker than these linens, this quilting here that came from Sophia Jiang, I thought maybe layering something on top of it might work best. And I love this piece. I definitely have to put this piece down. Okay, and then I picked these pretty pieces. Now, you've already seen these. I had already anticipated some of this. So this I put in kits. I put in not kits, but I put them in slow stitching bundles and boxes. They were in slow stitchery boxes I made years ago. I was lucky enough to find a lot of this, and I love it, and you can cut it easily. I've gifted some of it. And then I showed y'all this one. I've shown y'all these before. This one, I love this crochet piece, but I don't like the shape of it. So I tried it out on this bottom piece here that I stitched on. Guys, if you can see, wait, let me just show you. I have a boo-boo on my arm and my knee. I was walking my German Shepherd, Bishop, and he saw a squirrel. And you know where I'm going, where I'm headed, after I tell you this part. He ran after the squirrel. I'm holding the leash, and you know, he's so heavy. He's heavy, and I love it. It's just one of those things if you're a dog owner, and but he's not. Bishop is trained, but he's very he's a German Shepherd. He's extremely active, and so I just went toppling over. So I have a boo-boo here, and I have one on my knee, and I won't remove the band-aid to show you, but at least I fell nicely. I think I did, because it could have been worse. I mean, just that power of zoom, everything was fine. We're jogging along, I got my, hit the leash, and we're happy, and everything is great. We're being friendly to people around, and this and that. Well, sometimes people, because he could be a little if they come too close. Everything was great, but man, he saw a squirrel shoot like almost in like the middle of the street, close to the curb, and zoom. And I'm like, wait, it was too late. But I will tell you this story. When I fell graciously, because we love our pets, and some of y'all's pets, most of y'all's pets are probably extremely cordial and obedient. Bishop is too. He really is. But when it comes to other animals, and he thinks he can it's like, dude, you can't catch the squirrel. You're not going to be able to get him. He's going to like burn the track on you. So the interesting thing, I'll tell you this, and then I'll get back to this. when I fell, he stopped and turned and came whoosh on Mama, like, Mama, you're okay. Basically, I mean, of course, we humans like to put words in our dogs' mouths to our benefit and to skew things in the way we think, they think. But he turned, he like stopped, because the leash, kind of was like zoom, and I, let it go for a second. But he forgot all about the squirrel and turned around and came back and just kind of jumped on me and was, going around and around me. And I'm like, it's okay, baby. Mommy's okay. Ooh, Mommy was like, now look, I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay? For real. We're going to have to do some discipline stuff. But anyway, it was fun. Generally, I don't walk him in an area where there's other activity. I wish I could. He's on my Instagram, and he's a baby, and I'm holding him as a baby, and that was in 2019. So he's like 6 years, human years. I've had him for 6 years. We've had him for 6 years. So anyway, yeah, so I've got bruises. I've got legit dog bruises, and I'm good. Thank God. I probably will, I don't know, have to take a Advil or an Excedrin or something. I don't take medication, but I'm gonna have to take something like an Advil, because I know I'm gonna wake up probably walking chueca. Okay, so this is my white space here, and I pinned this down. I flipped that up because I was thinking about that triangle piece that I really like, but I said no. I had it, let me just show you what I was thinking. I had it here like so, and I didn't like it, and I wanted it here. I did stitch this down, and I'll tell you something that I learned from Rachel watching her, and I could be wrong. I'm not sure why she does it, but I'm trying to guess why she does it. She probably doesn't have a clue to even explain anything like that, because it's very common and very it's just streamlined, you know what I mean? Like, it's streamlined, this kind of stitching. But there's something she does that I picked up, and so I'll tell you that in a second. And I just decided not to put this because I don't like the shape. And then I thought about here, and then I was playing with it like that, and I'm like, no, no, no. I was thinking about a little piece up here or a little tiny piece right there, and I said, no, 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 no. Absolutely not. So I did stitch this. I did stitch the lace doily. I'm still working through. I did legitimately put down a quilting piece, and I'm going to use these pieces here. These pieces here, I'm going to use these. I'm trying not to bend over in the camera, guys, because I don't have a bra on. No one cares, right? But I just, bras are just, they're evil. They're evil. I hate them. And so did my mama. Okay, so I have these two pieces here, right? So there's one, and there's the other one. You can see that one. I don't know if those are going to go there. And these came from, I told y'all last time. Okay, now, so why am I making this video today? Well, because one, to tell you, I'm going to wait to stitch her on camera when I figure out what the heck I'm going to put behind her. So, but it might be okay if I do stitching around her. I don't know. I like thinking about it and figuring it out. And I even thought about doing like French knots all the way around her dress. But does that take away, am I intruding on the previous stitcher's work? I mean, we do that all the time. I love these little tiny buttons down her back, but I have to figure her out. So I'm going to leave her alone for now. And so when I was watching Rachel in the past, but more specifically in the present, stitch around. Now, y'all remember my red long thread, because I heard so many women say before I stitched my red long thread, around my piece on the first and only Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Roxy's Journal of Stitchery projects that I did. That, you know, the thread, when you have it too long, it's just not a good thing. Well, I'm a lazy stitcher, right? And so I did that. And so I did the same thing here. But I noticed that when I was watching her stitch very closely, and I don't know what video, I can't tell you, I noticed that she goes on the out, like on this part here, or this might even be a better example if I show you this lace doily I put on. I noticed when she's stitching things like this on, right, she comes way out, and you know, I've been thinking to myself, now that's way too far out into the real estate outside of your subject piece there. But she comes way out here and then goes in and stitch. And I figured out, I could be wrong, that that's how you flatten and keep your piece, your subject piece, without puckers and puckering and stuff, I think. So I was thinking about that when I was working on this little piece here. And I was like, maybe that's why, because I don't have any puckering. Maybe that's why when she's stitching, she goes all the way, like really out into that real estate and then into the piece. I don't know. And she probably doesn't even think about it. It's just second nature, first nature for her, I suppose. And then the other thing, I like the ripping of fabric. I just love ripping it. Like these two pieces, those are the pieces I got from Carla. I like ripping the fabric, but I noticed that on some fabric that I ripped, because I'm a learner, I'm here to learn. I'm not, stitching is in my DNA too, especially in my grandmama, my great grandmama, and my auntie's DNA, and G's Bend, the black seamstresses from Alabama in southern United States. It's in women's DNA, I would argue, or support, I should say. But I'm learning that too, when we rip stuff like that, that's cool. But I wasn't thrilled about sewing around the edges of that rippedness. And that's a nice cottony piece. It's cotton. And so when I was stitching, and maybe it's just me and my skills, you know, learning skills, or ooh, and then I have to tell you one last thing, and then I'm off of here. It could be just my skills, but I don't really, the fraying is great. It's beautiful. And it offers the tattered look, you know, and so on and so forth. But I found this like challenging for me, trying to sew that fray into this linen with this sheet on the back, you know, this sheet. And then, now this was fun. I had to really pull out the smoke signals out of my brain to figure this out. Hang on, I gotta check on something in my... Okay, I really had to pull out all of the brain power. Well, not all of it, but you know, a little chunk of matter. Because guys, I was stitching this, stitching and happy and stitching, and this is a variegated, this is the, this is cotton, that, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. Hang on. That, not that anybody cares, but I'm just showing you what I'm using. And most of my threads are the cheap stuff. I have some really nice ones, but as someone commented, DMC is cheap. So what is this? All of my threads are cheap in DMC because, you know, yeah, this is a DMC craft thread. There it is right there. So, you know, I don't know the quality, if you will, of certain threads. I do have some really nice ones from, I think it's Barat or Brillo, Buccillo, I don't know, but I haven't used those yet, and because I only have like specific colors. Anyway, so I'm not sure why I'm doing all these disclaimers, but it's kind of fun too. So when I was sewing across this here, and I am extraordinarily inspired, like, oh my God, by Kate in the Nest. I absolutely love her work. There are 2 channels that I probably will sneak and watch and take a break when I'm sitting in the library at the university, or when I'm you know, in the printing center and I'm working on something and thinking and I need a quick break. There might be a moment where I take some time, and it's 2 channels that I will drop everything if I've got a break and watch. And one of them is Kate in the Nest, for sure. 100% for sure. Love her work. Love her, just everything about her. The ambiance of her sewing, crafty, garden, nest, stitching environment is just really cool. Anyway, so when I was stitching this, right, guys, I was stitching and happy and zit, zit, zit. And then when I turned it over, I had stitched this part, like these little stitches were hooked into this thin pillowcase that I complain about in a beautiful way that I will never use again. But yeah. And so I was like, oh dear. So, as my daughter would say, oh dear, without tears. I just was like, how am I going to get that out of there? And then my noggin, Renee's noggin started to, like, you know, think, move, and said, take the needle off the thread. Remember, you saw blah, 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 blah do that. And I was like, yes. So I removed the thread, the needle off the thread, and then pulled it back through. And I've seen K3N do that, and I've seen Kate in the Nest do that. I don't know who, but I'm learning. So I'm not the boxy type of this thing. I mean, it is a cool participation and a wonderful challenge, but I look to learn, and whatever happens when I'm not around, it just happens. Okay? That's the way. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just trying to learn more stitching styles, and I do have books that I could, you know, and there's tons of videos, but I enjoy watching and supporting the junk journal / moving into stitchery community. Okay, so that's that, guys. That's all I have to say now before I go. Today's prompt, let me pin that down. I hope you can see that. Can you see where I'm pinning that? Yep, I think you can. Okay, so I'm going to pin this down because I think I'm going to leave this here. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm still thinking. I need to think about her, but I don't want to rush putting her down because I really want something behind her to be like glorious, you know, like fabulous, and even bring out some of that expression on her face. So today's prompt was Granny Chic, and I only looked at a partial part. Look at that. That's newbie stitchery stuff right there. That right there can be scanned and used. It can, in a sewing book, in a sewing journal. Scan it, use it, right? You should scan your own stitching progress, guys, and use it in your books, in your, okay, there's that. So, okay, I didn't finish that thought, but y'all know where I was going with it anyway. So, Granny Chic. These two, oh my gosh, wonderful nightgowns. And I'll just talk a little bit about these. Granny Chic. I do have, this is my great-grandmother's nightgowns, by the way. These were nightgowns that she wore in the wintertime, and they likely came from Sears and Roebuck. I don't know, you can look it up if you want to. It's called Character. But they're very Christmassy, and they're long, guys. They're all the way down to the ground, okay? All the way down to the ground. And I saved them. Look at that. These are so old school. I love them. I saved them because These are from my great grandmother, not my grandmother. This is my great grandmother, my mama's grandmother. Okay, so I saved them, and I can remember as a young person her wearing these. Like, even, I mean, these are probably maybe from, I'm trying to remember the last time she wore these. Obviously it was winter time, obviously in the winter, but it had to be like maybe the early 80s, somewhere around there, I'm thinking. But I remember as a little girl her always wearing clothes like this. I have one of her fishing shirts because she was also a fisher. She loved to catch catfish. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to use these, but I'm going to cut these up. You know, I could use a sleeve for Granny Chic. This is part of her fishing shirt. This is the shirt where she went, my husband cut that part off of there, but we have already cut into this. So this shirt was my great grandmother's shirt when she would go fishing at the lake and catch catfish. This was her shirt. And I wore this shirt when I was in undergraduate school. Oh my gosh, so many times. And she was still alive. I wasn't mourning her or anything. It was just her shirt. I just like it. I do that to my husband. I steal some of his things too and wear his clothes too from time to time. So I have my grandmother's. I have some things for my grandmother's, but I'm not going to delve into that. I think what I'm going to do is probably I think what Rachel did was take something that reminded her of her grandmom, M-U-M, I guess. So I probably will do something like that because, and here's why, these flannels aren't chicy. They're not chicy. I mean, they're kind of chicy, but not really. They're really not chicy. The sleeves are. We'll see. I could take one of the sleeves and do something with it. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I'll figure something out. And my great grandmother loved pink and green. My grandmother was a fire. And this is her here. Just in case you're wondering. With her hands on her hip. And her hand on the back of her head. In red and turquoise. I think I've shown you guys that picture before. Where my grandmother was more of the fiery type, the vavoom. Like, she could talk to anybody. She was, you know, but she really didn't like people very much for the most part. I have some things that I can put in this project. For my Granny Chic and make it where even though she was a more vavoom, fiery, you know, kind of interesting kind of character, literally, I think I can turn something for her into a chicy kind of thing. It might be I don't want to make her gothic because she wasn't gothic, but she was not Granny Chic, like perfect, pure, clean linen, white, celestial. No ma'am. She was not like that. And when I say clean, I mean, you know, clean is tended to be associated with white and purity and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to have to work on that too and figure something out. I'm going to have to do some critical fabulation on that for this project in regards to my grandmother. Okay, so that's where I am. I hope y'all are doing great. I hope everybody is doing wonderful and well and happy. And if you're not happy, that's okay too, because we're humans and we're not always going to be happy. So try to enjoy the other kind of mood that you might be in. I do. Anytime I'm in another kind of mood, I try to enjoy it, because that happiness can be, it's wonderful. And it's so much more healthier and better for us. But at the same time, there are times where we have to be realistic and kind of acknowledge when we're not in a joyous, you know, moment or mood. You don't have to come on camera though, right? I don't have to be here to tell you that. But anyway, I hope y'all are happy. and stitching away. I'm looking forward to finishing up these. I think I might add some more, another doily for the lace doily prompt. And then I'll have to think about my grandmother's, because she's not chic like that. Traditional granny chic. She's, again, a hot granny chic. And then I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with that lady over there in the corner. Okay, so I'll leave y'all right there. Let me step up on the ladder here so I can see you. I'll say goodbye, and I'll try my best to come back next Sunday and do this again, update you again. I'll insert some pictures here of the whole panel, like spread out. Mine again is 43 by 46 or 46 by 43, whatever I said. I have one, a beautiful one that is humongous. It's big, but I'm not ready for that. So I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the size. I like the challenge, since I learned how to fold and tuck and pin the right way so you can fold and tuck and that kind of thing. I like that, and that helps me out a lot. So I'm going to keep going. Okay. Talk to y'all later. Have a good, happy, whatever day it is. What day is it today? Or day is whatever prompt day this is for you. Happy all that and stitching. Bye.